Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of A Talk with the Galactics. This is going to be a more down-to-earth version of the show today, or so I think. Just a little while ago, my mother and Laverne were out driving, and they saw a white cigar-shaped vessel up in the sky. And she did a little sketch of it, and I just looked at it, and what kept popping into my head was it had to do with shipping lanes. I kept hearing a telepathic chatter about shipping lanes over and over again, like Cabal not wanting people in certain lanes of the sky, and these other people are just wanting to conduct commerce. And these white cigar-shaped vessels have been chased away by aircraft. I get the feeling from people that aren't in the know that are chasing them away. They don't know what they are, and they're not being informed by people in the upper echelon. So they're not all at fault, folks. They just are uninformed. That needs to change. They need to get rid of the compartmentalization, but before somebody gets shot at. So this grouping, that's what I was picking up on. I don't know what grouping it is per se. I was just hearing the residual chatter, and I feel they made themselves known to talk. They wanted to get this information out in the open. I don't know who they are. I have some suspects. The Canis have been wanting to do business with us for quite some time. Those are the dogmen businessmen. They've been wanting to do business for quite some time with us. So I did not pick up that it was them. Because I don't think they have cigar-shaped vessels like that. They usually will either portal in through a Gartha, or they come in different ships, or they come on ships with other beings. So that very well could have been a cargo vessel. They could have been aboard it. I'm not quite sure, actually. So I'm as much in the dark as you are. So we'll find out with why this particular ship made itself known to us. Probably because they knew somebody could communicate. So we'll look into it. I'm getting slightly discombobulated because somebody's trying to stop it at the same time that another group's trying to transmit. So let's see. Get rid of the interference. Somebody is heavily scanning for these people. Sometimes the Martian Germans and the Nazi factions will also use these white cigar-shaped ships, but they have German writing on the side of them. They'll use triangular ones with German writing, and they'll have their belt-shaped ones. But this is not one of them. This is how can I put it? This is a common shape that many different groups use. Of course, the ancient Mayans have their cigar-shaped ones, but they look like stone or wood. So, let me see here. See if anybody's even willing to talk it. This is I'm just getting concerned. I keep hearing that their shipping lanes are not being honored. Their cargo lanes aren't being honored. That they've had for generations. That they were given permission. Decades of permission. And some of our other military don't know about these treaties. So they get shot at or chased away, and these other humans, not knowing what is going on, will either shoot at them or chase them away, thinking they're violating U.S. airspace, when in fact these beings own the airspace. So that's the feeling I'm getting transmitted to me. It's like I'm being told that they're using your words, knowledge deficit.
Well, what are they transporting? Give some examples.
Many different types of cargo, stones, technology, people they can ferry back and forth, goods, services too. Did you say? No, not services. Okay. They wish they want to do more things here. They're not, I don't believe they're Canis. I don't believe they're dogmen. They look more human. They have blonde hair, and they're wearing like a skin-tight jumpsuit, but it's white. And at first, like I said, I suspected Nazi because of the blonde hair, blue-eyed. I don't believe that's them.
And who did they negotiate the original treaties with?
The U.S. government. We would say back in the 50s and 60s.
So was this something like, for example, President Eisenhower knew about?
Yes.
I mean, he was
Yes.
very upset about some things that occurred.
Oh yeah, he was very
during that time.
upset because of the whole Valiant Thor debacle. The letting the Archontic forces experiment on people, even though it had been happening generations before. He was just more of like reaffirming that, and he always regretted doing that. But this was not just Eisenhower. No, this was other groupings that also allowed this, that other groupings of humans don't know about.
Well,
And they're getting very frustrated with this because they keep getting shot at or chased, and they feel they own the territory.
Oh, that's interesting. So, what is it that you negotiated or traded to give you what you feel is your own personal airspace?
Equipment, technology, scientific advancements, instruction on how to operate said technology, even genetics. Did you say? Okay, like blood samples. Okay, and the humans aren't honoring your territory.
It is a curious question, conversation to have, because do they feel that what they're trading is and going back and forth is something that is benefiting all humans at this point in time with technology or stuff, or is this more of the higher echelons?
All humans were supposed to benefit from this. That supposed to being the optimum word here. It's being locked away in part. They're bringing it out and turning it into a product somewhere. Like what you hear other insiders talking about. They're showing me the process of how other companies are putting their labels and stuff on it, making mixes of their own or equipment of their own. But it originated from one of these groups. This looks like a Pleiadian group to me, or a yes. You're not Pleiadian, but cousins to. Oh, you're from a different part of the galaxy, yeah. Yeah, okay. Different variations on the same human-looking theme. They're telling me they're like would be our cousins or related to, and also they've okay. They're saying they've had the displeasure of going through the Alaska portal at the military base there. Mm-hmm. And they're saying my memories on this are correct, where they have signs up. The military has signs up there, or the government has signs up there stating that aliens that go through there are not supposed to telepathically talk to humans that are reaching out to them. on that level. That's why I got the stairs I did from those groups that were coming through that portal. And this group does look like a few of those their people went through. Did you want to talk directly, or do you want to keep doing it this way? You want to speak directly? Okay. Okay. Very briefly. Okay. You're taking a huge risk. I understand. But you took a huge risk showing yourself too.
Well, and the question is, before you bring them through, why? Who's seeing your vehicles? Because after they said that experience that they had, I saw something that I'm still unsure what I saw. It certainly could have been that exact thing. Literally sitting here on this bench, I'll oftentimes go for walks and whatever, and then I'll sit here and cool off or whatever, and I literally saw something that I understand exactly what your mother was saying. It was so bright white, and it was literally moving this, like, right across here.
Yes.
But I didn't. Why are you visible? Why is there a problem? Why is other planes coming after you?
They're making themselves look like they're having a technical problem because of our magnetic field, and they can get away with making that excuse because it does naturally happen because of Earth's magnetic fields. Like some cloaking devices and stuff like that'll get screwed up because our energy and our magnetics are very different here, and they can draw things in and they can screw up equipment and everything. It's part of it. Oh, you use that as a cover so you can show yourselves to more and more people, like in populous areas. Correct. And even broadcasting it like this isn't going to change anything. And what was this? They're not the Cabal technologies aren't as advanced as theirs, and they can get away with like uncloaking and masking it as a natural occurrence.
So is that when the jets then notice you? I mean,
yes.
You're noticed when you're trying to bring attention to other people that you exist.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
if you on a day-to-day basis, if you weren't doing that, you would not be noticed.
No.
Okay.
But they were told that they were going to be allowed to be visible all the time, like any other craft.
You mean in the original agreements?
Yes. They see it as a violation that other humans are chasing them and shooting at them. They recognize these people don't know about any of it, that the Cabal has compartmentalized it like this. They recognize this, but they feel by also showing themselves, they're honoring their end of the agreement, or forcing the Cabal to honor the end of their end of the agreement, and it's just not seen that way. But they have to hide it within malfunctions. So okay, let's see here. Do you want to come through? All right. Let's see here. He's not connecting completely. Okay. I must be extremely brief, given the fact that what we set out to accomplish did indeed happen. We set out to be noticed, and indeed we were. We exist in a different part of your galaxy other than the Pleiades, even though we have interacted both genetically and energetically with those people. We exist in a part of the galaxy that if you were looking at the Pleiades, it would be in a cardinal compass direction of right, in a cluster of stars that hold many species. Your scientists have already mapped out this section, but the names that they have given do not match the names that we have. We also stretch some of our people into your, which constellation you would state, your Hercules constellation, and the boots which is the other direction. And we have also helped to gain prominence in your other constellations as well, such as your Big and Little Dipper, and some of your other constellations such as your Sagittarius in your zodiac, you would call it such, and your Perseus constellation. We have traveled to all these places and met other races as well. Sorry if we have misunderstood names, but this is how we have learned. The information and technology that we have given and products that we have given have been wholly misused by your cabal in disseminating it through corporations, when in fact it was more of a trade gift barter. We saw those humans as being in charge, so we felt that those humans would disseminate the gifts amongst the people and not always expect something in return. We saw it as a trade to the entire race and not to a limited elite few. We have since not made these mistakes, but we still have trade agreements with these people. We do not provide any new technologies to them, just a shipment of what they've asked for. We wish to gift all of this to all of you, but they withhold this information. However, some of this will not be allowed for very much longer. You see, people like ourselves can drop, you would say, technology and gifts around people from time to time. Drop ideas, both telepathically and physically. Even leave items of interest to lead you towards certain scientific discoveries, you would say, even though your kind has already discovered these discoveries. However, this is the limit of what we can do except talk in this capacity. Our shipping lanes consist of through your Arizona state, north through your California, north again through your Oregon and Washington states, and all the way north to your Alaskan state. The passenger list and manifests are being cataloged by your cabal and military industrial complex throughout your Alaskan base. We do drop people off from time to time, very much like your commercial aircraft. And we drop them either within the base itself or to a portal station that is within one of your towns or within your wilderness areas. Some sites are ancient, while others are newer mimics of ancient sites. Since your continental drift, you would say, has moved certain portals off of what you would refer to as ley lines, newer constructions had to be created to compensate for the drift. So, in some cases, some of the older technology will not even function at all, while others to lesser extents, or have been moved, or as I've said, mimicked, and placed in new spots, geographically speaking. When we drop off people, they are told, now under no uncertain terms, that if they telepathically speak to humans while coming through that terminal, they are reprimanded. They are told And we're told that humans outside of the know, outside of what you know of, or average day humans know of, they are told when entering there that those humans are in a desperation mode, fearful mode, and quite frankly are annoying. So these passengers and these wanderers that come through the portal, even if they wish to explore, are told specifically not to speak to any of you while within the terminal or base areas. You see, those base areas are not completely protected from telepathic fields, either outgoing or incoming. So on occasion, some have reached out and tried to explain as I am now. But their rules do not encompass the skies. They do not rule the skies, even though they see as such. And we can have this conversation for a short period now, but just know, if any of you listening to this, either one of you, try to reach out to any alien species within the Alaskan-controlled portal territory, they will not respond. They are trained, as many of you would train yourselves, not to be annoyed by outside influences, such as an insect, or a fly, as you would say, or any sort of creature hovering around your face, say in the summertime, mosquito, any of those things. Or even noises where you train yourselves to not hear them or become nose blind to a smell around. This is no different in this case. We're not saying it is ethical that they do this, but it is more of a self-preservation type of mode. You see, these species, you may think, are so advanced, so why would they have to follow those rules? This is not so, because not only do you have some of the remaining dark Anunnaki, you call them the Spindlies or Harvesters, to deal with, but other races that help enforce these rules, such as Draconian forces and various other species you've never heard of. They have tried to add humor to the situation in your movies about this place. But it is a very strict terminal. Imagine an airport, that the rules are far stricter, and there are armed guards, very much like in your Heathrow airport or Middle Eastern airport. Very similar. I mentioned Heathrow because it too is a lane such as this. I cannot name drop anymore, but just know there are several spots around your globe that qualify as these terminals. Your Alaska one is but one. In this, I can take brief questions.
So you were very, very specific of how you said something regarding the inability to communicate with humans. You were very specific to say that it is being on that base in that territory area in Alaska. So my curiosity then is, are you trying to allude to the fact that there is a lot of incoming and outgoing traffic that is restricted to that area, meaning other races are not allowed to leave it when they're contracting their business? They're there, then they must leave. Because what if you decide to take a little jaunt to Las Vegas? You wouldn't be on that territory anymore, could you there? So I am curious about the literalness of the words you used.
Yes, once entering there, you cannot conduct business with outsider humans, or they would see it as a non-consequence, as it were, not inconsequential humans, they would see it as. Within the confines of that base, and any of your underground facilities, or any of the other hub points, business outside of there is strictly forbidden. But if one of us should, say, go to Vegas, as you say, and frequent an establishment and say, leave something behind for someone to find. That is our business, and we have done this on many occasions, as have other races. But as we have said, other races try to enforce the no interfering rules and the no outsider human rules. So it is fairly difficult to do. It is very much as if you both drop shungite pieces in parks and in waterways. That's very much how we have to treat dropping ideas and technology and, you would say, schematics for things. We do this on occasion. We do leave things behind, very much like if you forgot a set of keys. And it can be locked away in a place somewhere for a long time, but its energy, you would say, and its surveillance and its capabilities still linger, giving us eyes and ears in corners of your country and parts of your planet. My ship mainly goes in the shipping lane, going from your southwest to your Alaskan state. But I can honestly say we have actually wandered outside of the colored lines, you would say, and have dropped things from time to time near neighborhoods, near areas where people wouldn't expect an alien, you would say. We look just like yourselves, so we would not be noticed unless we stated where we are from. But to answer your question again, yes, in these bases, it is very strict. The aliens coming and going, as I have said, must ignore all outside telepathic activity, must not speak back, must not aid, must not even show even a glimmer in the eye that they notice you at all. Think of this as a ticketing offense. Say you have a traffic stop that you've gone through a red light or a stop sign. In some cases it's regarded as such, but if they've warned the individual or group once and they do it again, the penalties are harsher, very much like in your legal system.
So again, your group and the ones who deal with basically the trading aspects that have been agreed upon are definitely not some of the groups who are taking a more active role in trying to raise the energies that are here. You really are separate groups trying to just conduct commerce in general. I'm making that as a very general statement versus, let's say, some of the ancient native Pleiadians who are actually trying to be boots on the ground, and I'm assuming that's without agreements, where they're trying to be boots on the ground to try to raise the frequency. Mm-hmm. Totally different thought process of what you're doing, right? I just want to make that clear. You're not trying to change the frequencies. You literally are just conducting commerce.
That is correct, yes, and we do not agree with what your governmental bodies are doing to all of you or how you are being treated, so thusly we do go outside of the colored lines, as you would say, quite frequently, but incognito, you would say. But yes, we aren't really attempting to, you would say, raise the frequency purposefully, but we know that by us performing our tasks in the open, we do indeed raise awareness to what is going on around you.
Right, and believe me, I'm not making any judgment. I'm not making any judgment about anything like that. I just want to really be clear that there are definitely people that, and you're not the only race, that there are definitely races that are trying to conduct commerce that the government or other bodies have agreed to, and they may not agree with what's going on, but there is a galactic commerce going on, and this world is actually a part of it. Just like, during apartheid, there were plenty of people who traded with South Africa here who did not like what was going on. It's kind of, I'm assuming, similar, obviously, to that. Just out of curiosity, how many different races have these commercial agreements? Do you know how many groups?
As far as we know, dozens have these agreements. Several dozen, in fact, have these different agreements, but not all of them have attempted communication. In fact, a lot of them strictly adhere to these rules. This is why when people pick up commerce, as you would say, in the skies above, and they attempt to telepathically communicate, they will not get much of a reaction because they're still conducting and playing the role in which they were allowed to be in. They don't want to stray from this because then they are reprimanded, but not as harshly as it would be within the facilities themselves.
And again, I'm not having this conversation to judge it in any way, just want to have the conversation. Something had to have changed though, because you're not the first group, because we did have the one group came out, gosh, a year and a half ago at least, if not earlier than that, who wanted to put up a flag that they weren't happy with the commerce and how things were going. So you're not the first group to do that. But I am curious, what was a trigger that made you guys decide to try and publicly talk about it a little bit? Something must have happened.
It has been a frustration that has been building for some time amongst my groups and several others. However, we were biding our time to even communicate in this fashion. Even to get to this point was a long road that would be acceptable to you would call them overlords, but they're not a cohesive group, as some of you know, broken up into corporations that lead to nowhere, we will say. This was born of a frustration, also not only for ourselves, but for your kind as well. You would say there's an agenda in this, and you are correct, but we are looking out not only for your best interest, but ours as well. We wish to converse as equals with all of you on the surface here very soon. And as we've said, we have interacted before, but primarily it has been born out of frustration how your kind has been treated and our kind has been treated.
So you must be, if you alluded to, I'm just going to go with what I think you alluded to. You can tell me if I'm wrong. That you were actually alluding to that it's not that people now aren't going to know that they know exactly who you are. We've said enough information that they know who you are. You've said your travel route. They know who you are. So it's not that those people, let's say, in more of a controlling aspect, they now know that you're putting out your grievances as concerns and a more of a public on the record kind of thing. But you're feeling it safer because it's got to be beyond you just don't think they care. Some must be actively turning a blind eye to it intentionally, which always makes me wonder, how are things actually going in the upper echelons? We know they're not as cohesive. We know it's groupings. But, I've always felt one of the reasons you just don't want to kill off all the cabal is because there are decent people in there just biding their time as well in positions that could help maneuver these other changes that they weren't all eradicated. So there must be something, an inkling, something where you guys feel it's safe.
Yes, indeed. Going through this particular medium, it is not cared about too much because there is so much disinformation on your internet and your YouTubes and Facebook sites that a little bit of truth coming through a channeled situation is not going to bug them very much. It's not going to rock the boat, as you would say. But if we were to appear on camera ourselves, that would be a different story, of which we intend on doing at some point here in your future. But that is our intention. These other groups of which you speak of, these benevolent groups, what if I told you a grand majority of the ones out there are in the best interest of the people? It's just that they have a layer, you would say, or two above them that have a greater technology and a greater means of reprimanding them. So they are biding their time, as you would say, to get into these positions as generations pass. This is why there is such a slow trickle. They are also trying to get rid of your current financial system that is acting as a filter between us and all of you.
So, okay, thanks for that kind of update, because I've actually it's interesting that you say again generations that are biting their tongue. I think kind of hiding some of their skills, honestly. I think they have to conform so much that there are, gifts and different things that some of these people have that they just don't talk about. They just keep it to themselves or keep it amongst a small group for their own personal safety, because unfortunately, from what I understand, some of the higher echelon groups or whatever really believed that those that were not as controllable were considered fallible, and eradication was actually the way to go here for quite a long time, I think, even amongst their own groups, that if you were not able to toe the line and follow, there must be something genetically wrong with you, and thus we're going to eliminate you in your line. Mm-hmm. So that's actually real as to one of the reasons. But people learned to be quiet. And they learned, and this was partly taught, again, like you said, over generations. Most of the thought processes that have been going on, I think, with some of these higher groups are not done looking 5 years down the road. They're done looking hundreds of years down the road, and generational pushes. What is this generation going to contribute, or the next few generations going to contribute? So, and they had a strong belief, if this is correct, that they were also going to potentially be reincarnating right into the family to continue this, to continue with the same business. So they don't see things like we want instant pudding. They don't see things that way, and so it also, with that upbringing, makes those that have actually more of a benevolent intent, that they have to also look at things as not what's going to necessarily happen in 5 years, but how are we going to maneuver this over these next few generations. At least that's my understanding. I don't know if you see it the same way.
Indeed, this is exactly our point. All of your kind want instant pudding, and we do not blame you in the slightest for this, because of, say, medical conditions, viruses, diseases, and the like, and your starvation population that you have on your planet. All these things could indeed be corrected overnight, but there is what you would refer to as culture shock in your culture as well. This has to be put into account. We can indeed help the corporations collapse and that filter collapse, but this does not mean that we would suddenly appear and hand you gifts right off of our ships. No, this is not how this works. Those generations take over those other positions that have our and your best interest at heart. Therefore, nobody is killed with violence in your tribunals. No one is attacked by your other populations, not only on the surface but in underground as well. And then everyone is happy given enough time.
Right. And again, we're not condoning their practices.
No.
We're just saying this is what we understand their mentality to be as to what they do over periods of time. And again, not to leave everyone feeling, oh my God, we got to wait another 100 years. It's not going to be like that. We've actually been waiting those 100 years, and a lot's been occurring over the last 40, 50 years, I believe, and will continue to. So we're not saying that. Don't quote us thinking that we're actually saying this. We're not. We're just trying to give perspective of how that waiting game and transition stuff actually ends up occurring. Not necessarily, I'm not talking about in the Galactics, I'm talking about in the humans and the people that are considered by many to be the leaders, let's say, of this world, even though that needs to go away. But so I know you're short on time. It's a fascinating discussion. Again, it's nice to hear someone else stepping up to the plate to make themselves known and seen. So this can be brought up in discussion. So we really appreciate it. So I'm just going to turn it over to you to any last words.
You are correct. There are also other groupings that wish to do the same. We figured it was time enough now to actually communicate through this methodology. This is the slow drip method, as you would call it, becoming visible, looking for people that are more telepathically adept, as you would say, even though all of humanity is. Some are genetically more predisposed to be more heightened in that area. We search for people like that to usher in this communication. And as you would say, it grounds it into the earthly akashic or memory So saying it through this fashion may even expedite the process a little more. Now, we are not going to just, like I have stated, poof, show ourselves. However, if we notice that a great amount of people are co-creating this into existence, say in the next decade or so, or even before, we would be more than happy to do so, but we have to bide our time and observe how the progression is going. If these methods, using this method and others at our disposal, are working, we will be more than happy to show ourselves in a limited capacity. Only time will tell. This is a to be determined sort of scenario. It's more determined on all of you to notice these things, notice the environment around you as the binary network goes away and as this other AI junk goes away and the worship of beings outside of yourself starts to go away. You will notice a greater sense of essence around you. You will notice your skies are more filled, even if you just feel it, as you already do. Just know that we must wait to do things like that for quite some time until we have determined it is not only safe for you, but it is safe for us as well. So, with that, I must detach. I know we did not exchange names, but if you wish to call us anything and call out to us telepathically when we're outside of the bases, of course, you can call us by the name the Shippers. Or you would see us as shipping and receiving, but Shippers is sufficient. So, thank you.
So thank you. And as Chris comes out of this, and I'll let Chris also talk about it. We actually, before we decided to do this, we actually were discussing amongst ourselves, including Katrina, how we actually felt about this, because I was kind of very neutral towards them, meaning there were no alarm bells. There wasn't any extremely, but there wasn't anything bad, because we do believe that there was trade going on that is very negative. Mm-hmm. So we decided to go ahead and at least do this with this group, because we didn't think that we just had no feeling, I think you can talk about this, that they were participating in anything
nefarious. No.
Anything nefarious.
No. I got a good feeling from them, even though it was, I said, neutral. It wasn't threatening. And I feel a lot of the threatening behavior has been happening recently to distract people away from communicating with people like these shipping and receiving individuals. It looked like from their ship there was like almost like a warehouse layout in parts of it, kind of like a cargo vessel meets a passenger ship. That's how it felt like to me. They had a vast space in there, but they had a crew like you'd come across on an aircraft. You know, they had uniforms on, like these white, like skin-tight jumpsuits. Some of them are blonde hair. Some have, I saw green hair on one of them. Just like us, you know, we have different sizes and shapes. They do too, but they're a little more in shape because they're not as subjective to the poisons we are here. Like in the air and the water and the food and everything. And I can feel them going, That's another thing they want to correct as well, because it's being filtered through the corporations. But yeah, these they don't feel bad at all. You won't get this overwhelming energy presence from them. It's just like running into Joe up the street, sort of thing. You're not going to get this overwhelming energy presence, but you are going to get a sense of friendship from them. And if you feel frustration from them, it's over what goes on down here and the restrictions they're under. So don't think that they're negative because they're slightly agitated. It's just like one of us being agitated with what's going on. It's no different. It's exactly the same. They just are further along, possibly in some genetics and some energetic evolution to a certain extent, because they're not subjected to the junk here. So that's really all there is to it. They're not extremely enlightened. They're not, just like humans are not always extremely enlightened. They have a higher self and a physical self just like us. You know, it's no different. And I know they wanted us to know that, even though they travel the stars, they're not gods, they're not deities, they're not guides, they're not prophets. And so that's another thing that has to start to go away or get dissected as well before you're ever really going to see them. You might see their stuff before you see them. So that I just wanted to make clear as well. I know they wanted to make that clear as well, but they're disconnecting now. But I hope they come back for future talks, because that's very interesting about the shipping lanes. We may encounter other species that are exactly the same. And if any of you are trying to telepathically contact with the groups in Alaska going, oh my God, why aren't you helping out? Why aren't you coming down here and helping us? They're not going to. They're going to do exactly what these guys are doing, maybe even much less, because they don't want to risk getting incarcerated like how a drug dealer would do here. It's regarded no different than one of us ferreting around drugs in the trunk of the car, delivering it. If they try to deliver supplies somewhere, and they're noticed, that's prison sentence.
And it's hard because you're wondering, why don't they just all boycott? Mm-hmm. And it's kind of the same thing. What does boycotting actually do when we do it to other people? Who really suffers?
Yeah, who really suffers?
So, some of the technologies that have been given and have made it to people's hands, probably related to IT technology, computer technology, or whatever, some of that actually came through some of this trading.
Yes.
So we're not getting everything. We're not getting everything they wanted us to have. But some of the technologies that have made it out, and again, who ends up really suffering if you do a complete and utter boycott? Mm-hmm. You just want the hierarchy to slowly change over, and that's what the goal is. Mm-hmm. So I'm just that is my opinion. We didn't obviously ask them their opinion. I don't know if they concur or not, but
oh yeah, I can see somebody nodding. So they're going,
yeah,
mm-hmm,
you just can't. It's just who really suffers. So anyway. This was pretty interesting impromptu conversation.
Yes, and usually the impromptu ones are fascinating enough. Like when I do the interstellar councils, those are all impromptu. There's a theme that might be set, but then the Galactics tend to take it off in a real fascinating tangent. And this is one of those tangents that was carefully planned out by somebody. It's not impromptu on their part. On our part, it may seem that way, but on their part, it's been very carefully calculated and planned out. So just know you do have beings around you at all points in time that are not from here, but they just cannot, as frustrated as they cannot risk getting incarcerated, captured, punished. So they know everything that's going on there. They know the suffering that's happening down here. They know all of it. They don't have to be informed of it. But don't get irked if they ignore your telepathic calls, unless they're in a position to give a message from time to time, just exactly like this. So thank you, everybody, for watching this episode of A Talk with the Galactics. Bye, everybody.
Bye.